Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of Limitless with Nadia. Today, we have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, Mimi Bouchard, who is the founder of the Superhuman app, which is one of my all-time favorite apps. I have all of my coaching clients download it. It is all about how to basically meditate and incorporate meditation in your everyday life. Mimi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Nadia, for having me. Super excited to be on and to catch up.
Yes, me too. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I just came back from a month-long trip to Italy, and it was fantastic. I did actually use a lot of the Superhuman meditations while I was there. And so I just really want to hear about how you really got into meditation and kind of how you decided that you wanted to make this app.
Yeah, it's a long story. So I'll give you the high level story. So when I was in my late teens, I started getting really into personal development. I went through a pretty hard time in my teenage and preteen years. And I guess I just needed something to feel better. So I read my first personal growth book. I think I was around 17 years old, and this was like a decade ago at this point. Personal growth wasn't cool at the time. So it was really one of these old random books my mom gave me. And it really started to change my perspective on the world. And it inspired me, and it brought this fire from within me that I hadn't experienced in a really long time. So I started to do everything that these books were telling me. I was visualizing, I was really designing the future that I wanted. And I kept hearing in all these resources I would read and watch and hear that visualization and meditation is incredibly important for transformation. And I tried all the traditional meditation apps, and I really just couldn't stick to this one habit. All the other personal growthy stuff I could stick to. I was journaling every morning. I was, really happy to do all of that. But the meditating thing just felt so boring to me. And I always told myself my mind works too quickly and I don't want to sit and think about nothing. And it was just something I didn't enjoy. So I wouldn't do it. And I just was lacking this place for me to visualize and have those benefits from visualization. So just intuitively, I decided to start recording these voice memos on my phone. Like, it was a really kind of random, intuitive thing that I did. And in these voice memos, I was talking to myself kind of as my future self, telling me everything that I was creating in my future, everything that was inevitable. I was creating these active visualizations for myself. And I would listen to these audio files when I was getting ready in the morning, when I was walking to the gym, and just kind of throughout my day. So I wasn't sitting closed-eyed listening to these audio files. I was integrating it throughout my day. Around that time, 5 years ago, I started my podcast and I had a good microphone. And so I started recording them professionally for myself and adding music to the back of them. And it started like slowly really changing my life. And I started seeing a huge shift in the results I was creating. And, there's science to prove why listening to visualizations while doing everyday activities in everyday moments is so powerful. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, later in this episode. But to bring it back to the story of how I created Superhuman, I ultimately created an app around these unique audio files, and I started creating them more generally for the population. And I created a custom app, Superhuman, to hold them. And now we have 15 different categories of meditations, from walking meditations to getting ready in the morning meditations to cooking and cleaning and legs up
Grocery
wall
shopping.
meditation. Yeah, grocery shopping. We have literally a meditation for everything, but they're not really meditations. They're like this modern mix of inspiring words and emotive music. And it's really just something new that I've created. So we're in the process of patenting this unique method. And then also over the coming year or two, I want to create or kind of start calling it a new word, not really meditation. So we're still kind of in the process of that. But we do have seated meditations too. We have pretty much something for everyone. And that's how I got into it, because I felt that I had that need and I just wasn't really into the traditional type of meditation.
I absolutely adore that. And I think it's so beautiful the way that it came together, because it sounds like it really came from a place of, this just feels right. This feels like something I need to be doing for myself because the traditional stuff just wasn't working. And so I think that's so beautiful, and how it's become this big, huge project for you that's become so widespread, and it's helped everybody to really tap into that version of themselves. And I agree. I think like obviously working with clients and stuff like that, one of the things that I hear most is that people are really intimidated by meditation because they think that if they can't connect with the meditation that they're doing, maybe on YouTube or whatever it is, or any of the other traditional apps, that it's just so hard to stay connected, and then they blame themselves for it. So it's really important to find a way to connect in that way using something that feels right and resonates for you. And I think it's so beautiful that you brought that into fruition and made that a thing. So I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so cool seeing everyone's transformations from it, because for me, doing one of our superhuman meditations is like an immediate state shifting, experience. And whereas traditional meditation, it definitely has its place. And for some people, they live by that and they love to clear their mind and think about nothing. But for me, I only like to do what I enjoy doing. And of course, I'm sure it would be a benefit to me to sit down and think of nothing, but I don't enjoy it. I want to be getting excited about my future and visualizing and embodying what it would feel like to have what I desire. And, that wealthy, blissful, abundant energy. I want to live in that. And honestly, I think it's just so much more effective doing it this way, because there's so much science to prove that this approach is transformative. It's like the Pavlov's dog theory, you're getting conditioned. You're linking new thoughts to everyday actions. If every morning when you're brushing your teeth, you listen to a getting ready meditation, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're getting ready in the morning, when you're doing your hair, if you're listening to these conditioning affirmations and this inspiring music, soon enough, you don't even need to be listening to this type of content to be feeling empowered and abundant and like your ultimate self before your day starts. It's really conditioning, and it's changed my life. It's changed tens of thousands of others' lives since we launched just a year and a half ago. And it's been just incredible to experience. I'm super proud of it.
Incorporating it into your everyday routine is probably one of the most important parts, because that's how you build the momentum. That's how you change your programming. And so that's also something I talk to my clients about all the time, is what is specifically your morning and your evening routine? What is the energy that you're bringing into your day every morning? What are your typical thoughts? Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about all the time, how when your body is on autopilot, your brain and your body, it's like you wake up every morning and you typically think the same thoughts on repeat, right? Like, oh my God, I have to start my day. Now I have to go to work at this job that I can't stand. Or, oh my God, now I have to go feed the dogs and walk the dogs, or whatever it is. And it gets so easy to get lost in that. But introducing new programming by habit stacking like that, where it's like, okay, every morning while I get ready, I'm just going to listen to this 5 to 10 minute meditation, get myself in the energy that I want to be in this morning, and start my day on that note. And then same thing when you're winding down at night too, of like, you're getting yourself in the energy that you want to be in before you go to sleep and before you're manifesting in your sleep, really. So I love that the app makes it so easy to really get that into your everyday life and to start feeling a lot differently. Because I mean, if you're watching this and you've never really meditated, this is something where over time you're really going to start to feel the difference. You're going to start to notice different thoughts that are coming in your mind on a regular basis. Your responses to things are going to start changing. I think this is actually the perfect time to get into the neuroscience of how this stuff really works. So what have you found in terms of the neuroscience that really proves that meditation is something we should be doing every day?
Yeah, well, I'll speak to my kind of meditation. I don't really do other types, so I can't say meditation does this, but I'll tell you the research that we've had our scientists and psychologists do when it comes to Superhuman. So first of all, when you are listening to this content and you're reprogramming your mind with new beliefs, new thoughts, new affirmations, new visualizations, what you are doing essentially is you're triggering the RAS in your brain. The RAS is the reticular activating system in your brain. And this system essentially decides what to filter out when it comes to what you actually consciously notice. So a very easy example to prove the RAS is if you're thinking of buying a red convertible and you're driving on the highway, you're going to start seeing them everywhere. And there aren't more red convertibles out there. You're just noticing it and your RAS is triggered. So the same thing happens with you believing that you have opportunity everywhere, that the world and the universe is working in your favor. If you are listening to this content and actively, consciously deciding that this is going to be your new belief system, and you are the kind of person that attracts opportunities, that good things happen to, you are a lucky person, that lucky girl trend going on.
Yep.
Your RAS gets triggered differently, and it restructures to start showing you what is reflected through your beliefs. Think about this with everything in your life. If you previously thought that you were a victim and you had a victim mentality, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're going to see reasons why you're a victim everywhere you look.
You're going to be looking for it everywhere. Yep.
Exactly. But if you believe that, you are the creator of your life, and good things are happening all the time, all around you, and there's opportunity absolutely everywhere, that's what you're going to find. So that's one aspect of the neuroscience of it. It's the RAS in your brain. And like I said before too, the Pavlov dog theory is really the basic thing when it comes to conditioning the mind, because you're linking these new thoughts and beliefs with everyday actions. It's not just sitting down and thinking about what you want. It's getting up and doing a walking meditation and being your new empowered self while you're walking. You're walking differently. Your posture is nice and straight. You have confidence. You're moving differently. And if you repeat that and actually act as if in your everyday life, you will change. You will create more of what you want in your life, whether that is more money and opportunity and abundance, whether that's a healthier, more fit body, whether that's attracting more beautiful and fulfilling relationships into your life. Fundamentally, my belief is if you start acting like the kind of person that has what you want, you will create that life. It is inevitable. I'm writing a book on it right now, all about the self-image.
Yes.
Yeah. So the self-image is really the core. My belief is that it's the core of everything that we get to experience in this world. I actually don't think it's your habits. I don't think it's self-discipline.
I totally agree.
It's the self-image that you have about yourself, because that influences naturally your habits, that naturally influences your discipline. If you believe I'm a runner, you're going to get up in the morning and go on a run. If you fundamentally believe that you're not, you're probably not going to. And it's the same thing with absolutely everything in your life.
I completely agree, Mimi. I think it's all about how you are perceiving yourself. And this really all ties into what you manifest. It starts with your thoughts and your emotions. Those are the two main vehicles of what really happens in your life. So if your thoughts are tied to, I am a runner and I am somebody who does A, B, and C, then that's going to start the habits that actually get you there, right? And the same thing with emotions, like with the visualizations. If you are visualizing yourself as a runner and you're feeling the emotional satisfaction of that, and it feels exhilarating and you love it, right? You're emitting the energy of the very thing that you want to be, and you're more likely to get on track with the habits that will get you there. So that I talk about that all the time as well, is like, how are you perceiving yourself? What are the thoughts and emotions that you're tying to your identity? And how can you shift those intentionally to be more of what you actually want? So I totally agree. And I think that's such a great way to think about it. And it's also really empowering, because it makes you realize that you have control over your own self-perception. You have control over how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself and how you think about yourself. And if you do things intentionally to feel like and think like who you want to be, there is really no limit to what you can achieve and how you can feel in your life. People who are really intimidated by meditation or visualization, what advice do you usually give them about how to stay tuned in?
How to be consistent?
How to be consistent, but also in the moment with the visualization, because I know it's really easy to get distracted and have your mind wander. So what advice do you give to people who struggle with that?
Yeah, I'll have some unconventional advice here. Other meditation teachers or meditation apps will say, just try your best to focus. But I truly believe that we are going to be doing things and creating habits around things that we enjoy doing, right? I'm okay with doing a getting ready meditation and not really being fully present and visualizing the entire time. Most of it is, a lot of our content is beautiful music that just raises your vibration, and affirmations and words that just inspire you to prepare you for the day and prep you for the day. So honestly, I would say that's okay. Try your best to listen to what the words say. And if you want to be in a more of a focused mode, do some of our other categories like the writing meditations. Those obviously require you to listen to the journal prompts and then write your response, or the seated meditations. Your eyes are closed, so it's difficult to think about what isn't being said to you. A lot of our seated meditations are mostly words. It's not just long spurts of music that
Mhm.
allow your mind to wander. So they really are designed in a specific way to help you. And just know that if you're listening right now and you
Mhm.
have trouble focusing, this app was created for people like that. And it's okay.
Mhm.
You don't need to be fully focused the entire time. It is ingraining into your subconscious no matter what, anyways. So
Yes.
either way.
I love that. And that's such refreshing advice when meditation teachers or people in like spiritual mentors in general are like, well, just like you said, just try your best to focus, just stay, try your best to keep your mind centered or not let your mind wander. But I think that actually creates a lot more pressure and it makes it even more difficult because on top of not being able to focus, now you're also beating yourself up for not being able to focus. So it just makes it a really unfavorable experience. And like you said, and I preach this all the time as well, we are so much more likely to do things that we enjoy. And if you see something as an obligation or it feels like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, this just feels like it's another thing that I have to add on to my day, it's not coming from a place of alignment. It's not coming up from a place of joy. So it's always good to enjoy the things that you're doing and keep that as a priority without feeling bad about it. And I think it's also, like you said, it's interesting because even if you're not focusing the entire time, even if you're not listening to the words the entire time, your subconscious mind is very receptive and it will absorb the energy regardless. So like as an example, when I'm teaching my clients how to use affirmations, I have them do what's called the post-it prep method, which is when you're trying to change your belief system and you're changing the thoughts that you're thinking every day, you basically take a bunch of affirmations that really resonate with you and write them down on a bunch of post-it notes and stick them literally everywhere, on your bathroom mirror, on your nightstand, on your car dashboard, anywhere where you're spending a lot of time. Because the beauty of it is that you don't even have to be actively reading at it or looking at it, same thing with a vision board, all the time for it to be effective. Because anything that's in your visual field, your subconscious can see it. It has access to that. So you are still going to be impacted by it on a positive level regardless. So I think that's a good way to kind of release the pressure of, no, you don't actually have to make sure, okay, I'm sitting, I'm listening to every word, I hear it, I feel it, I believe it. It can be a passive experience as well, and it can be just as effective. So I love that. What about in terms of, like you said, when people are trying to be consistent with it, what advice would you have to give on that direction?
So Superhuman, again, it's very low barrier to entry. We don't require you to change a habit. All we
Mm-hmm.
require you to do is change what you're listening to. So a lot of
Mm.
people try new meditation apps and they spend money on them and they never actually do them because they're not just trying to meditate, they're trying to create a new behavior, a new habit. Sit down in the
Mhm.
morning for 10, 20 minutes, close your eyes and use this app. That is very far fetched for a lot of people. And a
Yeah.
lot of us think, you know what? Oh, we're going to do it. I'm committed. But they don't end up doing it. And that's okay. That's human nature. So Superhuman really meets you where you are. And all you got
Mhm.
to do is just instead of listening to music while you're getting ready, or instead of listening to nothing when you're getting ready in the morning, or when you're
Mhm.
walking, or in the afternoons, or even before bed, whatever activity you're doing, or
Mhm.
you feel like you could simply start feeling different and aligning with your future self, just pop on
Mhm.
a Superhuman meditation at the same time and just listen to it while you're doing that moment, that activity, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
you'll feel a shift very quickly and it doesn't require you to change really anything. So that's what I would say. It's not hard to be consistent with it. It also makes you feel so good. Our music is incredible. Our words that we use, it's just so
Mhm.
inspiring
Mhm.
and it's not hard. You really look forward to it every day and it just has such
Mhm.
a big shift in your energy and your mood. So,
I love that.
yeah.
So, what shifts have you seen in particular, like when you started using these visualizations more consistently, and like maybe what you've heard other people who use those meditations, what they say about the shift in their energy?
Yeah. So when I started listening to my little voice memos about 5 years ago,
Mhm.
everything in my life started to change. I used to be in a very different place in every area of my life.
Mhm.
Paint the picture here. 5, 6 years ago, I was very unhappy and
Mhm.
borderline depressed and quite anxious and very unaligned with the truest version of myself. I
Mhm.
was drinking and partying a lot on the weekends. I was just not acting like the Mimi that I truly am at the core.
Mhm.
And on top of that, I didn't have any fulfilling relationships really. All my friends were really party friends when I was living
Mhm.
there in London. This was before I met my fiance. And I was just in a really low place. Financially, I was in a bit of a rut. Well, in a lot of a rut, I will say. I remember a
Mhm.
moment when I was living in London. where I was working like 4 jobs trying to make my online magazine at the time kick off. So I was, in the morning working at a juice bar and then interning at a styling agency, getting paid like $7 an hour. And then I would
Mhm.
run a nanny and babysit this Italian family at night. And
Wow.
in the middle of all of that, I was, dog walking on
Oh my
randomly to make an
God.
extra $10. And then I was working on my online magazine. And there was a moment where it was in the morning and I was rushing to my juice bar job and I had just missed the bus. And it was, driving in front of me and I was trying to run for it and I missed it and I was going to be late and I couldn't be late. And so I called my sister and she was living in Australia at the time and I was bawling my eyes out. I was like, I'm going to be late. I, don't have money
Oh,
for an Uber X. And honestly, an Uber X would have been like $10. I had like $8 in my bank account at this point.
wow.
And I called my sister and from Australia, she called me an Uber from Australia from her
Oh,
phone. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm going to remember this because if I can't afford a $10 Uber to get to work, this is just ridiculous. And so that was like a before moment for me. And
mhm.
I was just not feeling fulfilled. I was very unhappy in my body. I was just kind of getting over an eating disorder I had for most of my teens. I had
Mhm.
terrible self-image. There was just everything wrong and nothing right. And,
Yeah.
fast forward 6 years now, I am living in the Bahamas with the love of my life. I have amazing, fulfilling relationships. I'm in the
Love
healthiest,
it.
happiest body that I've ever been in. I'm earning millions a year. I always feel awkward saying that, but I'm
No,
earning
you don't have
so
to.
much
Yeah.
more than I ever could have dreamed or dreamt of. And everything it makes sense. I'm clear with my mission, with my career. I have a beautiful life and I'm in awe every day. And I truly, deeply believe that it's because of this work and because I
Mhm.
changed my self image
Mhm.
through this mental reprogramming, these audio files that I now create for Superhuman.
I had goosebumps as you were explaining that story because I think so many people can resonate with hitting rock bottom like that and hitting a moment where you look around and you're like, this is just not working for me. What my life, everything that is in my life right now and the way that it is just does not fit, and it's creating a lot of tension within me. And I think that's the point. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're at that point, let this go to show you that it really just takes small habit changes and small changes in your perception that eventually compound into a huge life transformation. So if you are at the point where you feel like you are at rock bottom or you feel like you really need to change stuff, just be aware that it starts with the little things. It starts with something like putting on the guided visualization every morning and getting yourself on that right foot in the morning with your energy, right? Changing the way that you're perceiving yourself with affirmations. Like, it's all the little things that over time, the more you incorporate that and you stay consistent with that shift, we get those little micro shifts that start to reflect into this whole different life that you're now living, right? Like, I'm sure if your past self who missed the bus and couldn't even afford to get a $10 Uber, right? If she were to meet the version of you now, she probably wouldn't even recognize her, right?
Yeah, she wouldn't, but she would know that honestly, she wouldn't be surprised in a way. She'd be in awe, but I
Mm-hmm.
really don't think she would be surprised. I think about this often. And I knew
Yeah.
around that time that I was so hungry for change. And
Mm-hmm.
I had no doubt in my mind that things were going to change because
Yes.
it was just this intrinsic belief that I had. So I would
Mhm.
definitely be in awe of the Mimi
Yes.
today, but I wouldn't have been jaw-droppingly surprised because I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to create that. It was just a time in my life where I didn't have all the answers yet.
Oh my gosh. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's another thing, is that you can believe in the inevitability of a huge transformation of yourself and, fulfilling your potential, even if you don't know the how or the steps that you're going to take to get there. But the feeling can be enough to work with. Because like you said, right, taking it back to, I just felt intuitively called to make these voice notes. That's where Superhuman really started, right? Is your voice notes. So when you decide that you want to change, when you decide that you're ready for a transformation and you want to become your best self, you just have to be open to the possibility or to the inevitability of it. And then you start getting little intuitive urges, like recording voice notes on your phone of things that you want to be telling yourself, of your positive future and your higher self. And things like that are the little micro shifts that are going to get you to where you want to go. So your story is honestly so inspiring. I love hearing it every time. I love watching all of your stories and hearing about, the little things that have led to where you are now. And I think this is such an inspiration for anybody who maybe resonates with the before part of your story, or maybe they're in the middle and they need a little bit of hope that it is possible. Your biggest dreams about your future version of yourself and who you really want to become, that already exists. You just have to really believe in that and start taking those little steps towards it, because eventually you're going to end up exactly where you want to be, which for you, Mimi, is honestly, this is amazing. I really, really love, like I said, I love hearing you talk about this because it inspires me as well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like where I'm at with my journey right now and seeing you with your potential, I'm like, it really is limitless. Like you can be anyone you want to be. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. It starts with believing it first, right? Okay, so we are back, and right now we are going to introduce this week's Limitless Challenge of the Week. So at the end of every podcast episode, we are giving listeners a challenge to focus on for the week to start integrating the concepts that we're talking about in every episode, which this week I think it would be super fitting to introduce the challenge of try a superhuman meditation, or any meditation. I would recommend trying Superhuman first because it's a really great place to start, especially if you don't really have experience. But doing a superhuman meditation every day for 7 days. Mimi, what do you think?
I think that's a great challenge, and it doesn't need to be hard. Everyone listening,
Yes.
just remember, it really doesn't need to be hard. You
Mhm.
can listen to it while doing what you're doing, while you're living your life. When you have 5 minutes, in the cab on your way to that meeting or to dinner, you can just weave it into your life, and you don't need to be so all or nothing, but just commit to using it for 7 days. And I honestly feel like you will be shocked by the shift that you feel in your life. We get this every day from people. They're shocked at how quickly things start to shift. And if you're feeling like you want to feel like your ultimate self, or even get
Mhm.
clarity on who that is,
Mhm.
there's something for everyone on the platform, from clarity inducing writing meditations, and we have sleep meditations for reprogramming. We have,
Love it.
morning ones, seated ones, walking ones, workout ones. I love our running meditations, our gym meditations. We have literally something for everyone. And yeah, try it out for 7 days. You'll definitely feel a shift if you commit to it.
Yes, you guys, it really doesn't have to be hard. You can just start incorporating it into your everyday life, into the little pockets. Like she said, like grocery shopping right before you go to bed, like literally at any moment in your day. Just start integrating this new habit and see where it takes you and see the difference in how you feel. If you want a free 6-week trial to Superhuman and you really want to test that out, check the links below and the directions that will tell you how you can get that 6-week free trial. I will also be including a Notion template where you can get clear on scripting who the you 2.0 or the new version of you really is. That's a free resource that you can use to start figuring out what your higher self really looks like, who she is, and really getting to know her on an intimate level. So Mimi, thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. I am so excited for listeners to hear this. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you next week on next week's episode.